you should not let AI do the thinking for you. I do think that we are losing connection with reality.
Which service of AI is going to have the biggest development in, say, the next 5 years?
It's probably warfare. I mean,
so from someone on the inside of the workings of AI, how rational is this fear that everyone has that it's going to take their jobs?
a lot of companies are very eager to implement this AI worker who will replace their more expensive workers, and then at the end they realize that, hey, this cannot be done. And then some other companies are being pressured by investors to implement these flashy AI solutions, and we've come across that, and it doesn't always work. I can really attest with my own employees as well. There's a clear lack of AI being able to convey human relationships, authentic human relationships properly. And even if you don't notice any grammar mistakes, even if the structure of messages is fine, even if the structure of work is fine, you can still see that this is not creative work. And I think people should not be super fearful of AI replacing them, because at the end of the day, companies will realize that, I hope, for the sake of for the sake of humanity, the companies will realize that the authentic relationship between employer and employee and client cannot be replaced with an AI in between. The AI should be just a tool which enhances the employee's productivity.
Do you think they're getting blinded by the fact it's trending now and they're maybe not looking for an actual use? They just want to say, we have AI built into our systems.
Definitely. What I've been noticing, especially with smaller companies, is they see how much investment funds are investing in companies which have like any AI technology in them. And they think that if we do the same thing, we will get that same type of fundraising. It does not mean that. There's a lot more things that go into a company which receives investment beyond just the AI. That is usually, I would say, 5%, 5 to 10% of the thing. The hype behind everything is 5 to 10% of the thing. Investors do like to hear the word AI. Clients like to hear the word AI, and some management likes to hear the word AI.
Am I right in saying that there is a level of human subconscious being used to build the AI system so that maybe a rationality or emotion does come through?
I would say that the way AI was communicating with people a year ago was a little more authentic than it is right now. It might be due to the fact that there's a lot of LLMs, a lot of AI companies are implementing restrictions and censorship on. It's like not necessarily the bad type of censorship, but AI tries to limit itself in what it can and cannot say and suggest, and it's trying to be very milquetoast in the way it's talking to you. And because of this restriction and more of this restriction being applied to AI models, it feels like you're talking to just a smarter version of a chatbot that existed 10 to 15 years ago. So I think there needs to be a balance between the censorship part of things. So what can AI say, what it cannot say, and also the AI's ability to convey human feelings and emotions.
The reason I asked that is I saw a thread on Reddit a few weeks ago when I was doing some research for a guest, and there was a guy that had two different screenshots. One was his friend's ChatGPT history and his friend's history with the Snapchat AI bot. And he was having like maybe year-long, like detailed conversations with the chatbot. And it was just simple things like, how's your day? Or I'm in this situation, can you give me some help? And it was firing back. Like, it wasn't firing back anything groundbreaking or anything that would solve any problems in life, but it was firing back like almost was like human. Like, what goes into those kind of systems? Because that's where, in my opinion anyway, it gets a little bit freaky.
You're getting close to the point of discussing AI psychosis, I would say, but it definitely does. The more information the AI receives, it's kind of like talking to a mirror, I would say. The more information that the model receives from you and about you, the more it can adjust and say the things that would be very relevant to you. And that's the point where it becomes scary. So I'm not going to go into like, do you really want to give all this information over to these AI companies? I'm just saying that in order for the AI, and this is like friendships work, in order for AI to be able to give you something that is very relatable and relevant to you and feels authentic, you need to give it a lot of information about yourself. Um, which is exactly the reason I think why this is just a slightly off topic, but why cold outreach using AI doesn't really work, because the AI doesn't know who you're addressing that message to. It doesn't really have a lot of context about that person, so it cannot be authentic. It it feels, oh, no pun intended, but it feels cold. It feels too cold. But what you are mentioning is the year-long conversation that gets into very interesting territory, and the person and the AI know a lot about each other. Well, it's just one and only person, and the conversation can feel both slightly disturbing but authentic at the same time.
People are constantly trying to optimize so much of their life. I use an AI as well as like a toolkit for it. But do you think that with all these AI things, we're kind of losing the tradition of learning skills on your own?
The conversation might go a little bit too much into the doomer doomer side of things,
Yeah,
but
I know.
but yeah, I do think that we are losing some our connection with reality. And again, circling back to AI psychosis, but the way I see people talk to AI and communicate with AI, it's like you can do these things on your own. Again, not discrediting the fact that AI is a good tool to have, but people stop using it as a tool more often than not, but instead they use it as a replacement of their own train of thought. It's like there is absolutely no reason for you to just skip your family members and go ask AI, what color shirt should I wear today?
Yeah, I'm getting this put together in my head, so I pop it away from the doom because I don't know where my mind's at here at the moment. But
I can be as doomer as you want. I mean, I'm on the both side of things. The AI can be a good tool, but I'm also incredibly doomer about the way people use it. So I would be super happy about AI if people um, would kind of put it to good and productive use.
so we'll go here then. So everyone's using this fear of AI to think it's going to take our jobs, take over our lives. Let's flip it. Let's do what you said. How can we use AI, maybe not at large just yet, but minimally to help us in our own routines and systems?
I want to start from the big to the small. So if we take like larger operations and work systems, work processes, what AI can be good for is data analysis and research. So for example, tools like Perplexity are a good starting point, I think, to find information that otherwise would take you a little longer to find. Um, you should not let AI do the thinking for you. I think one, it's a very valuable skill to lose, is the skill to actually solve problems and think. But what you can do is use AI to do research, find out something new about topics, but again, always verify. If we go to the smaller side of operations, so like maybe not even work related, you're at home, what would you need AI for? So it's it can be a powerful tool to brainstorm if you give it enough of your own input. So if you just ask questions without providing any sort of data for the AI to understand what you want, it can start to make things up, and so it can start to hallucinate, and at the same time you're again losing your valuable skill of thinking. So try to use it as, again, a supplement to your processes instead of a replacement to your processes. So a very simple layman's way to put this is, if your boss tells you, here are the points, please draft an email with these points, try to actually draft the email yourself and maybe ask the AI for grammatical or structural corrections. Don't just take the points that your boss gave you, dump them into the AI, and be like, compose an email out of this. That can go badly.
pinpointing the research part that you mentioned, because I have heard of this, people using it for research. I've used it sometimes for research, but again, like you mentioned, there are some times where it falls into that loop of it just kind of puts the dots together and doesn't know the context. But when people are using it for research, like let's use, for example, schoolwork. We'll go on to workplace in a second because it's a different angle I want to hit. But say like schoolwork. If say you went and you wanted to get the research on something, how how certain can you be that that research is on face value right for you? Because I do know there is areas of like the internet and stuff AI can't quite wander in yet.
This might be harsh, but you should not take seriously the information that is included in the output. What you can do is, when I say research, it's more like try to find the sources, try to use AI to dig for these sources and find out where you can read up on this yourself. It can be, again, tools like Perplexity, tools like ChatGPT to some extent, ChatGPT 5, can be used to find the sources and boost the cut down the time from a couple of hours to a couple of minutes of this collection of sources. But at the end of the day, it will have to be you. It will just, there's no way around it right now. It will have to be you who goes into these sources, and you can again use, for example, AI summarizers to figure out whether a source is relevant to you. But at the end of the day, you will have to go do the research yourself, figure out what the numbers are in there, because more often than not, AI, if it cannot read something, it will not tell you I can't read it. It will make something up, especially if that thing is in a cluster of information which it can access. And at the end of the day, you will end up with information that's very unreliable if you do rely on the output itself. So do use your AI to find sources, reference, and do go read up yourself. Go back to school things. Take notes. That's good. Have to be written. You can use Obsidian or Notion or whatever software you like, but it is again a tool. Do not let AI do the entire thinking for you.
So I'm hoping this doesn't fall too much into the doom pit again, but are schools and institutions getting better at spotting when AI is used in a student's work?
Definitely not.
Not.
We are at the point where teachers are not complaining about AI work because teachers are using AI themselves. And I personally know people who do that. And we've had troubles in our company with AI use. And again, it's fine to use AI as a tool, but if you're tasked with something, you're never tasked, just take this information, use AI, and bring it back to me. That's not what your teacher or your boss wants from you. But a lot of managers will close an eye. A lot of teachers will close an eye because they themselves are stuck in that and is super comfortable. There's even teachers. I'm not sure if this one's definitely not from the personal conversations I've had. This is something I read, I think, on Substack. But there was a case of a teacher using AI to think of the tasks for students, think of the questions to write, then the students using AI, and then the teacher uses AI again to verify the work. And at that point, like, not to be too doomer about this again, but at that point, we don't even need Skynet to say, hey, I don't need humans anymore. Humans are just there. They voluntarily replace themselves now.
So anyone listening as a student, do not do it. Even though he's just said you might not get caught, don't do it.
I am saying the cold hard truth. It's comfortable. It is super comfortable. It's like blue pill or red pill in the Matrix, in the Matrix movie. This is the blue pill. You will save time. There's a high probability of you not getting caught doing it. It is comfortable. You save time in your day, but at the end of the day, tomorrow you will not retain any useful information in your brain after this. And it is very abstract to say you want to grow up and have a developed brain with a lot of information in it. It is very abstract. People don't think in the years that they'll have ahead of them. People think mostly when it comes to comfort right now, but this is definitely a big piece of advice I can give. The older I get, the more I figure out how important this is. You need information in your brain to be able to converse with people, just like we're doing right now. And I hated school. Here you go. I hated
Going
school.
back in that pit.
I would have probably used I would have probably used AI in school, but right now, in hindsight, it is horrible. Do not do it.
Spoke to a guy not long ago on, I think it might have been on Instagram or something, but he was saying that his company has like reduced all the people in his team's hours because they were using like AI to run reports and find errors and logs and stuff. And he turned and asked his boss, like, why am I still here? If it's doing my job for me, why am I still here? And the boss looked at him and goes, we spent quite a lot of money on this. Still not fully accurate. So you are here to make sure they don't send anything to their clients that's the wrong information. So he laughed at it, saying that he hopes AI gets so much better because his job now is to pretty much proofread reports and send them off. So he's actually somehow become more important at work by doing less work.
That's, that's super interesting. Usually I tell people do the complete opposite. So like try to, again, draft the emails, the reports, and then use AI to like tell it, do not change anything. Just make sure that the grammar is correct, for example. But in this case that you brought up, it's the exact opposite. The AI makes the report and the human does the verification and checking.
So let's pivot industries completely. Because I'm actually interested now in what the next 5 years is going to look like in a certain industry in general, which is entertainment. Because movies and TV shows, even musicians like music videos, use a lot of like B rolls or like cinematic back shots and stuff. How long do you think it is before AI starts to be the creator for things like that?
We are starting to see that on the small scale. Trailers, corporate educational videos, and feature teasers for large revenue companies already use AI for B-roll and less important things. I am pretty sure that at one point we will get to the industry giants, the entertainment industry giants using AI. But there's still a long way ahead because entertainment, there's so much money involved there. If in a blockbuster movie you have a shot where there's this little microphone on a boomstick appearing somewhere, it completely ruins the viewer's immersion. And then the next day on Reddit, what they will talk about is this boomstick appearing in one frame of the movie, right? Hey, look, a $200 million dollar budget movie, boomstick appearing out of nowhere, the microphone guy appearing out of nowhere. Like, what is this? And AI is nowhere near to the point where it can't make single frame mistakes. I think it will take, if not 5, then definitely 10 or 15 years until we're there.
Yeah, I asked it because we spoke before recording how like that area of AI seems to be the one that has the most improvement, like the generation fact of it. Like ChatGPT 5, the image generation, I used it a few days ago to like just throw up some concepts for posters or thumbnails, and I was so shocked at how good the details were. Maybe not the large scale of it, but the details in it were unbelievable. What is it that's driving that improvement? Because that came on a lot from the last year, even.
Definitely. The static images, I was shocked how quickly we improved because when it just came out, it wasn't that long ago. I think we're beginning 2024 where we still had like very distorted images and the AI not being able to process text properly, and the images just, you knew that this is definitely AI. Right now is becoming a lot more difficult, especially if you're not sitting close to the screen or you're a little farther away. Again, if it's a banner, a promotional banner, it will be nearly impossible to tell whether it's AI or not. The issue I brought up previously is, will this be scalable to video material? Because again, you do see sometimes on Reddit or Twitter engagement farming attempts where like, hey, here's a AI tool which allows in a live call for you to replace your face, but then at the end you figure out that that's something pre-rendered and then um, done with a lot more effort than just like, hey, here's an AI tool doing that in a live call effectively. Because again, as I said, with video, it is super important, very crucial to not have even a single mistake, or the entire immersion factor can be ruined. But I mean, I can't tell you the technology about how OpenAI is improving the image generation part. I definitely can tell you that it involves a lot of energy and third-party material, which might not be always licensed.
There's a few guys that I know that make their thumbnails on YouTube off ChatGPT and Sora, and I mean their thumbnails look unbelievable. Like they've had professional thumbnail artists come out and ask like, "Who's your designer?" and stuff. Like it's hard to tell off first glance, but like maybe I'm gonna shrink down the scale of the video to maybe like short form or content. What is preventing AI then from getting the details so good on the image side, but whenever it scales to the video, it's maybe lacking a bit? Because I know the videos you're talking about where the people move in the video, but the actual background hasn't moved across in time.
It takes a large amount of power, a large amount of resources to process, to render videos instead of images. Images are just one frame, a lot less data. In videos, you have right now 30 to 60 and sometimes even more frames per second, and that's 60 or 30, in movies 24 frames per second. So 24 images at least per second that you need to generate. And imagine having to do that in a live format, for AI to do that in a live format. We're still, I'm not sure if we are there in terms of how much power we can generate, if we have the processing power to do this, but the technology might be there already. It's just that it's an issue of scaling our power. We'll definitely get there, don't get me wrong, but it will still take some time.
Found it so funny when past guest Thomas Haynes was on a long time ago, but he has recently been hired as like some kind of video designer at Amazon Prime with using AI. But it's so funny to me thinking that all these AI generation things, it's a guy in the background doing the prompts, because it's so funny to me because like, you try and do a prompt yourself, like it might come out okay, it's not TV worthy or anything like that, but these people are making the prompts to make these things that we all see that are incredible, or even maybe things that are hidden in plain sight in maybe small productions or stuff, like some kind of backdrop or some kind of scene that they can't quite film, that they just render it with AI. How how are these people learning how to use it so effectively? And like, is there a way that we will get to that point?
I think the one place where AI definitely can excel, when we talk about video generation of video materials, is advertisements, because especially short form advertisements need to be flashy and they need to get the viewer's attention and trigger your proper receptors with the proper colors and brightness. And it takes a professional video editing, post processing team, or the live recording thing and the team and the producer themselves, a lot of effort to set up the lighting properly, to make sure that in post processing you have the proper tones. In AI, it is a lot, well, with the proper engineers, it is a lot simpler to get the desired outcome. And when we talk about just a couple second clips, it is probably even more efficient in terms of the energy spent to use AI to generate these short videos instead of setting up an entire production environment just for a couple of seconds of B-roll or advertisement.
Just one last thing on this is, with those short form advertisements, those images that have to pop out at you, there's quite a lot of like psychology behind that, because you have to kind of know how each bit of the video is going to impact the person scrolling. Can is that can that be altered by the engineers for AI to give that feel, or is that something again that the machine's never going to fully learn it?
It isn't something that can be altered by the engineer, and I think right now we're very close to the point where you can, with the proper iterations, a couple of hundred times, maybe even for large scale operations, get the desired outcome. A year ago, you might remember using AI to generate maybe an image for you, and every time you told it to, let's say, put this pillar on the left side, every time, iteration over iteration, it would put it on the right side. It just couldn't understand what is the right, what is the left here. But right now, we're definitely getting close to the point where the proper engineer for the short form content can, to 90 or more percent certainty, guarantee the desired outcome, especially for short form content. As I said, it's not as important to avoid these micro mistakes.
So I have one last thing on this area of generation, because this is the part where that interests me the most, because it's in seeing how quickly it is learning to adapt to these things that like humans really have to sit and learn and study. And the one that recently, I'm sure anybody watching has fallen to these videos on Instagram and Twitter and TikTok of the the voice changing AI thing. And this one blows my mind so much. I mean, how can AI pick up someone's voice and change the words of it? Because that is something that I can't even form in my head.
I think voice generation has been one of the industries in LLMs, in AI, that has the most amount of data. Um, Probably not even surpassed by text data, because we had text to speech 20 years ago. The amount of development that went into text to speech and voice synthesis is incredible. And you're asking about how it is done. I would not ask about how it is done. I would ask about why we were able to get it so advanced, because voice synthesis is probably one of the most important use cases of AI for people wanting to do both, for corporations or people wanting to do both good and bad things. With replacing voices or with synthesizing new voices for advertisements, you can achieve a lot, and which is why a lot of investment went into that area of AI. I mean, we can take a look at the 11 Labs, how quick they have developed their solutions. And I mean, some voices on 11 Labs with a proper engineer, you can get to the point where, to the blind eye, you will not be able to tell whether this is a human or AI.
Yeah, I mean, there's some of them I genuinely cannot tell the difference. Like those singing ones or the music ones are just crazy. I mean, the music ones are so hard to detect. They're even harder than the images, I think. But something just popped in my head whenever you were talking about how text to speech has kind of always been around, or it's developed pretty quickly anyway. Like, I remember when Siri came about on iPhones and people were losing their mind about it. And now whenever I'm putting two and two together, that was pretty much what we're talking about, isn't it? That was the original kind of the voice generation thing, because it was something speaking back to you that didn't exist.
Definitely. It's People tend to forget this part of things, but 2012, I think it was 2013, where we had the first versions of Siri, everyone's mind was blown. But if we think about this is almost 13 years ago. We already had a proof of concept of a synthesized voice being able to adjust and adapt, in a maybe 50% indistinguishable from human way. And another thing that came to my mind, why this developed so quickly, is speech is one. It's the closest. Um, it's the closest way to get to success with AI. So in terms of speech synthesis, we can succeed with AI pretty quickly, a lot quicker than, as we talked about, video is a lot more difficult. Text is a thing of its own, because text is, you need AI to be able to reason, to provide proper text outputs. But voice, you tell it what to say, all it has to do is synthesize the voice, or take a real voice and synthesize something very similar to that. And so, again, that is something that has the biggest, both good and bad, potential applications currently.
There's one thing that stand out to me about this, because I'm thinking how this could fall into the corporate world, because it hasn't. I mean, I know with iPhones and with phones, like text to speech thing's getting a lot more more important, but hasn't fully fallen under the corporate world yet. And I'm wondering, could this area, this voice synthesization area, could it maybe put the receptionist or secretary job title under a bit of danger?
I was going to say yes just a second ago, but there is people underappreciate the work of receptionists and secretaries. There's a lot of reasoning that goes behind being someone responsible for communications, because what AI cannot do right now is tell tell intent. So telling intent is very important. When a customer calls you, by the way they talk, by the way the tonality of their voices as well, you need to be able to tell what is their intent behind this call. And you can maybe even have instances of, let's say, corporate espionage where someone is calling with malintent, but AI might not put these two and two, connect these dots together and understand that this is someone who wants the bad for us. This is someone who wants the good for us. And I think this filtering, I mean, we're getting into the HR world of things. Receptionists and secretaries aren't as much like chatbots or people who are responsible for communication only, but the emotional side and filtering side of things is very important in their jobs.
Going to lead me on to my last point about this voice thing, because used to have a section on the show called What's Annoying You this week. And my guest, What's Annoying You, over and over again was the customer service or contact support chatbot thing that was becoming so big now. Like all platforms seem to have it, or there's even a few that I've called the contact line, and it's an AI voice on the other side doing the commands. Why are people so obsessed with that? Like, because surely that in itself should be a human-driven world.
I think um, I don't want to go into the areas of like people put cost of doing business. I mean, you always want to definitely optimize cost of doing business and try to save here and there, but at the end of the day, you're being careless if you believe that you can have an authentic conversation with a client of yours through an AI receptionist or an AI assistant. At the end of the day, this has been true for hundreds of years. No matter which tools we got, the companies who win, and the larger your deal size is, the more important this is. So if you're working in B2B, B2G, for example, the more important it is for you to be able to have authentic connections and conversations with your clients. So there might be some of my team members who are confused sometimes. What's the issue if the AI's message is fine, if there are no grammatical mistakes? Why is this not good to send to a customer? Because a customer who trusts you, a customer especially who you have a larger deal size with and you have a personal connection with, you met with them, it is just disrespectful to treat them with this AI treatment. Being authentic, even making a mistake here and there, can go a long way. I'm not saying like a figure mistake, but I'm saying like just a mistake in speech is important in building that authentic relationship. And the more companies use AI to replace human interactions with their customers, I mean, the better it is for other companies who are able to continue with these authentic relationships. And this is, I think, this is why people are obsessed. It's just an optimization thing. People want to save costs, and we're here now.
So, as a closeout question, even if your answer is about an area of AI that we haven't spoke about or anything like that, if you had to predict which service of AI is going to have the biggest development in, say, the next 5 years, what, in your opinion, would it be?
Warfare. I didn't go here, but it's probably warfare. I mean, it is something that, I mean, cybersecurity, the cybersecurity part of things that we do is also kind of a part of warfare, but it is something that your competition competition, I mean other countries, will be doing, and they will be developing it very fast. And if you don't do it, you're in a big world of trouble, because if someone gets ahead in AI warfare, being it drones or things like long range detection, automatic detection, or missile seekers, things like that, heat seeking, you will be in a big world of trouble. And if we didn't have any realistic Wunderwaffen yet in the past, this might be one of them. If opponents get an advantage, then you're left in a very, very bad case of asymmetric warfare. And it's not that I'm hedging on this or I want this to develop. I'm really seeing that governments are investing a lot in defense related areas of AI.
I'm not even going to go on to it. So, Greg, tell people where they can find you. What have you got out and what's coming in the future?
All right, awesome. You can find me at readpartner.com, and you can schedule a demo there. In the future, we'll have a lot more things related to cybersecurity. Right now, it's media intelligence, business media intelligence, brand awareness. But in the next couple of months, we're releasing a new feature called Profile Screen, which will allow people to detect artificial activity on the internet, and that might be interesting to some business users.